The steady beep, beep beep of the monitor should have comforted me. But even after all these years, that sound still makes my stomach twist. I sit in the children's recovery wing of St. Luke's Hospital, my daughter's tiny hand curled inside mine, her fingers now strong, steady, alive. Sunlight spills across the sterile floor, softening the sharp scent of disinfectant. She's fine now. Perfect, even. But that sound, that same rhythm, once nearly broke me. A nurse passes by and smiles. "You've been through a lot, haven't you?" I nod, managing a polite laugh. "You have no idea." My phone vibrates beside me, a news notification, ironically about battery life and charging habits. The irony burns a hole through my chest. I can still see it. That dim hospital room, the cords tangled like lifelines, and the man I thought loved me saying, "Relax, Liv. She's fine. I just need to charge my phone." I remember the way the oxygen monitor went silent. One flat, deadly tone. The nurse's shoes squeaking against the floor. My world collapsing in 3 terrifying seconds. And now, years later, sitting here, watching my daughter smile, I wonder if that silence, that one unplugged cord, was the sound of my old life dying and my real one beginning. "It's strange," I whisper, brushing my daughter's hair from her face. "How one careless plug can disconnect everything you thought was safe." I was 27 when I gave birth to Avery. 8 weeks too soon. She came into this world fighting, a tiny bundle wrapped in wires and fear. Her skin was translucent, her chest rising in quick, fragile movements. The NICU became our second home, the rhythmic beeping of monitors, the hum of oxygen tanks, the whispers of nurses, my lullaby of survival. My husband, Ethan, hated hospitals. He said they made him nervous. So, while I sat beside Avery's incubator every day, Ethan sat in the waiting lounge scrolling through his phone, complaining about the Wi-Fi speed or how tired he was. That night, the night everything changed, I remember every detail. The clock read 2:43 a.m. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly. I was half asleep in the stiff vinyl chair beside Avery's bed, clutching the tiny silver charm bracelet my mom had given me before she passed. She'd told me, "Whenever you're scared, hold it tight. It'll remind you of what love really protects." A soft click pulled me from my daze. Ethan stood near the monitor, his phone cord dangling from his hand. "Ethan, what are you doing?" I whispered. He sighed. "Relax, Liv. My phone's about to die. I just need to charge it for a bit." Before I could even move, he'd already unplugged the oxygen monitor. It was only for a second, but for Avery, that second meant everything. The flatline tones sliced through the air. Nurses rushed in, one shouting, "Who disconnected this?" The room exploded in motion, hands, wires, alarms. I froze, unable to breathe, watching as they tried to save the life my husband had just endangered over a phone battery. Ethan kept muttering, "It's fine. It's fine. She's okay," as if saying it would erase what he'd done. When Avery finally stabilized, the nurse turned to me, her eyes full of something I'll never forget, pity and anger. "Ma'am, the monitor can't ever be unplugged. Not for anything." Ethan rolled his eyes. "She's being dramatic." That was the first time I looked at him and saw a stranger. Later, when he tried to joke about it, tried to make me believe I was overreacting, I didn't argue. I just held Avery's tiny foot in my palm and whispered to her, "You keep fighting, baby, because I'll never let anyone unplug you again." And deep inside, I felt something shift, a quiet, burning promise that one day I'd unplug myself from him too. When Avery was finally discharged, she weighed just over 4 pounds. I remember strapping her into the car seat, my hands trembling as if one wrong move might shatter her. Ethan wasn't there, he'd overslept. That was the first ride I took alone as a mother. And strangely, the silence in that car felt more peaceful than any conversation we'd ever had. The following months were brutal. Avery's lungs were fragile. I learned to clean oxygen tubes, measure medicine doses, and survive on 2 hours of sleep. Ethan grew distant, cold even. He complained about the bills, about how I'd changed, about how everything was suddenly so serious. One night, while rocking Avery to sleep, I caught my reflection in the window. Dark circles, hollow cheeks. But my eyes were sharper. That was the night I decided I wouldn't just survive, I'd rebuild. It started small. I began researching neonatal care equipment, everything from oxygen monitors to portable humidifiers. I realized how many parents like me were scared, overwhelmed, and lost in medical jargon. If hospitals could charge thousands for machines, why couldn't I create affordable, safe versions for homes? I had no business degree, no savings, just a laptop, determination, and that old silver charm bracelet. I worked during Avery's naps, learning design software, writing emails to suppliers, and teaching myself business through YouTube tutorials. At night, I'd feed Avery and whisper, "One day, baby girl, I'll build something that keeps every fragile breath safe." That dream became Pure Breath Home Care. My first clients were parents I'd met in the NICU support group. I hand-delivered every order, packed each box myself, and included a handwritten note that said, "From one mother to another, keep breathing." When I finally made my first $500, I cried over my kitchen counter. Not because of the money, but because it was proof I could do it without him. Ethan barely noticed. By then, he'd started coming home late, smelling like whiskey and excuses. When I told him about my business, he laughed. "You? Selling medical stuff online? Come on, Liv. Focus on being a mom." I did, just not in the way he meant. A few months later, a local hospital placed an order worth $10,000. My business took off overnight. I registered the company in my name only. Every paper, every account, every license mine. I didn't post about it. Didn't tell friends. Didn't even tell Ethan. He thought I was just playing with ideas. But I was building an empire. Brick by invisible brick. By the time Avery turned 2, my products were in 5 hospitals across 3 states. By the time she turned 3, Ethan was gone. He left one night after another argument about how I made him feel small. I didn't chase him. I just picked up Avery, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "We're okay now, baby. Mommy's got us." And as I rocked her to sleep, the silver charm bracelet glimmered against her skin, soft proof that some things broken can still shine. It happened 5 years later, on a bright Tuesday morning. I was in my office at Pure Breath Innovations, reviewing the latest shipment contracts. My name, Olivia Hayes, founder and CEO, was etched in brushed steel on the glass wall behind my desk. The same hospital that once treated my daughter now stocked my oxygen monitors in every NICU room. Avery, now 6, was at school, healthy, curious, loud. She'd grown into every ounce of a fight she was born with. Life had finally quieted, until my receptionist's voice broke the calm. "Ms. Hayes, there's a man here asking to see you. He says he's your husband." My pen froze mid-signature. A name I hadn't heard in years echoed in my head like an old scar aching in bad weather. Ethan? When he walked in, I almost didn't recognize him. The confidence he used to wear like armor had crumbled into something dull. His suit was wrinkled, his shoulders sunken. Even his voice, once sharp with arrogance, came out softer, almost pleading. "Olivia." I didn't know where else to go. He looked around my office, eyes widening at the framed certifications, the polished furniture, the photo of Avery smiling beside me. "You're doing well." "Better than I expected?" I said quietly. He gave a dry laugh. "I'll admit, yeah. I heard from someone that you built some kind of medical thing. I didn't realize it was this." I motioned for him to sit. He didn't. He was pacing, rubbing his hands together nervously. "Liv, listen. I messed up. My new job didn't work out and..." "New job?" "Yeah, and my girlfriend, she left. Took the car. I don't have much right now." The words hung in the air. He wanted something. They always do. "I was thinking," he continued, forcing a smile, "maybe I could help you here. You know, with the business. Marketing, sales, whatever. We were always good together." I leaned back, studying him. Good together? I remembered the night he unplugged the monitor. The chaos, the terror, the sound of Avery's monitor going silent. I stood slowly, walking toward the large window, overlooking the city. My reflection stared back, calm, certain, powerful. Ethan, do you remember the last time you unplugged something of mine? He blinked. What? The monitor, I said. The one that kept our daughter alive. His face paled. Olivia, that was years ago. I made a mistake. You can't still. Still what? I interrupted softly. Still remember the moment you almost cost me everything? The moment I realized I didn't need saving. I needed freedom? Silence filled the room like thick smoke. I turned to face him, the sunlight catching the silver charm bracelet on my wrist. You see this? I lifted it slightly. My mother's. She told me it would remind me what love protects. And she was right. It protects what matters. It doesn't drain it to charge a phone. He swallowed hard. Olivia, I didn't come here for that. No, I said, stepping closer. You came here to take again. But you should know something. I smiled, not bitter, not cruel, just free. While you were charging your phone, I was charging my purpose. He stared, speechless. I could almost see it sinking in, the realization that the woman he once dismissed now ran the company that built the machines he'd once mocked. The irony was poetic. The closure, absolute. You can go now, Ethan, I said quietly. We're done here. As he turned to leave, his reflection flickered in the glass, a ghost from another life. And I felt nothing but peace. Ethan didn't leave right away. He hesitated by the door, shoulders slumped, voice trembling. Liv, please. I know I don't deserve anything, but I need help. I'm broke. I can't even pay rent. Once, those words would have shattered me. Now, they barely stirred the air. I walked back to my desk, my heels soft against the marble floor, and opened the drawer where I kept Avery's hospital photo, that impossibly small baby wrapped in wires and hope. You know, Ethan, I said quietly, there was a time when hearing you say you needed me would have meant everything. And now it just sounds late. He sighed, rubbing his face. I made mistakes. A lot. But I want to fix things. I want to be there for Avery. I looked up sharply. You had the chance to be there. You chose your phone instead. He winced, then whispered. Please, Liv. Don't do this. I just need a second chance. I studied him for a long moment. He wasn't lying, he was just empty. And for the first time, I realized forgiveness wasn't about him. It was about me, and what I refused to carry anymore. I'll help you, I said finally. His head snapped up. You will? Under conditions. He blinked, unsure. Anything. I held up one finger. First, therapy. Real therapy. I won't fund a single thing unless you start fixing what made you think other people's lives were less important than your convenience. He opened his mouth, but I raised a second finger. Second, you will donate 10% of any future earnings to the Avery Hayes Foundation. It supports parents of premature infants. You'll know exactly where your money goes, to the kind of parents who never unplug. A third finger. Third, you'll apologize to Avery. Not with words, but with consistency. She doesn't need your guilt. She needs your accountability. You show up when you say you will. You call when you promise. You rebuild trust the way you destroyed it, one careless act at a time. He stared at me speechless. His eyes glistened, shame heavy in every breath. You'd really give me a chance? I smiled faintly. I'm giving myself one. To heal without hating you. He nodded slowly, defeated yet grateful. Thank you, Olivia. As he left, I leaned back in my chair and exhaled. My hands were steady, my pulse calm. I wasn't that trembling girl in a hospital chair anymore. I was a woman who had built her own life support, one made of grit, grace, and boundaries. I glanced at Avery's photo again and whispered, "We forgive, baby girl, but we never forget." Outside my office window, the city moved like a heartbeat, steady, strong, alive. And for the first time in years, I realized so was I. 6 months later, I stood in the neonatal wing of St. Luke's Hospital again, the same place where my life had once unraveled. Only this time, I wasn't there as a scared mother. I was there as a sponsor. The Avery Hayes Foundation had just funded a new NICU upgrade, 10 brand new portable oxygen monitors with my company's logo engraved on the side. Pure breath, every breath matters. Avery, now 6, held my hand as she gazed up at the rows of tiny incubators. Her eyes widened. Mommy, were you scared when I was in one of these? I smiled, terrified. But you stayed. I knelt beside her. Always. That's what love does. It stays plugged in. She giggled, tracing the charm bracelet on my wrist, the one I now rarely took off. The same bracelet my mother had given me, the same one that had survived every night of fear. As I watched her slip it onto her own little wrist, I realized how full circle life had come. What once symbolized survival now stood for strength, not just mine, but hers too. A nurse approached, eyes shining with gratitude. Ms. Hayes, thank you. These machines, they're saving lives already. I smiled, the weight of years lifting quietly off my chest. That's all I ever wanted. Later that night, back home, I tucked Avery into bed. She whispered sleepily, Mommy, I'm proud of you. I brushed her hair from her forehead, my throat tightening. No, baby, I'm proud of us. The house was silent, peaceful, a kind of peace I once thought I'd never earn. I stood by the window, watching city lights flicker like heartbeats, and thought about Ethan. He'd started therapy, donated his first check to the foundation, kept his distance. And that was enough. Forgiveness wasn't forgetting, it was finally exhaling. I looked down at Avery's sleeping face, her breath soft and steady in the dark, and I felt the universe hum in perfect rhythm. For the first time, that sound, that steady beep, 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 didn't haunt me. It healed me. I whispered into the quiet. He unplugged a monitor once, but I reconnected my life forever. And as I turned off the light, the silver charm on Avery's wrist caught the glow. A small, shining reminder that love, when protected, never loses power.